Greetings, fellow book lovers, and welcome back to Colin's Corner.
Greetings, fellow book lovers, and wait, what? Somebody already did my intro for me? Who? Stephen King? He was here? Huh. Welcome back to Colin's Corner, guys. Today we're going to be doing my October TBR. I've got some of my October gear on. My sister just got this for me for my birthday last month. This is actually a movie release t-shirt, which is pretty sweet. But the irony of all of the Stephen King stuff going on in the beginning of this video is that this month I am looking to follow through on a promise that I made to myself and to you guys on the channel earlier this year to try to dedicate October to reading some horror books outside of Stephen King, because the majority of my horror reads thus far in my reading career have all been Stephen King for the most part. But before we get into today's TBR, we have to go over the answer for the last Comedy with Colin segment, where I asked you guys to joke, what's the difference between a poorly dressed man on a bicycle and a nicely dressed man on a tricycle? The answer? Attire. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, let's get on with what I plan to read in the month of October. First book I have actually talked about somewhat recently, I think a couple of videos ago, but it's going to be Imaginary Friend by Chbosky. So again, I have to thank Jake over from The Bookish Drummer for really hyping this book up for a while now. He is a major advocate for this book, and it's been something that I've owned for I think a year and a half, maybe even 2 years now. I picked it up at Goodwill, and I've just been kind of waiting for the right mood to read it, and so I thought maybe October this month, trying to dedicate it to non-Stephen King, would be a good time to get into this one, because it is pretty long. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see how many pages it is. For a horror book, it's long. It's over 700 pages, so this is going to be what I started the month with to make sure that I get to it. But anyways, what's the premise of this? So the premise is that there is a single mother named Kate who's got a son named Christopher, and Kate is trying to flee an abusive relationship. She moves to a small town called Mill Grove, Pennsylvania. Represent Pennsylvania. That's where I live. So that kind of got me excited to read this book as well. But anyways, the son disappears for 6 days, and nobody knows where he is. He later appears just in the woods, walks out of the woods at the edge of town, and appears physically to be okay, but obviously something has gone on. He begins to tell his mom and those around him that he's got a voice inside his head telling him that he has to build a treehouse in the woods by Christmas time. I don't know what time of year it is when this happens, but he has to build a treehouse in the woods by Christmas time, or else his mother and everybody in the town of Mill Grove, Pennsylvania will be changed forever. So I thought that was a really interesting premise for a book. I'm wondering where Stephen Chbosky is going to take this. I never read Perks of Being a Wallflower. I saw the movie, but it seems interesting that he pivoted so much from Perks of Being a Wallflower to something like this. So if you've read both, let me know what you think, how he does transitioning from one genre to the next. But yeah, I'm very excited to finally be getting to Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. Next up is a book that I'm very excited to finally be getting to because it is a classic, and that is Dracula by Bram Stoker. No, I have never read this book, and it is going to be great to finally be getting to this just quintessential vampire story. So obviously, a lot of people know, almost everyone knows, the general story of Dracula, so I don't really need to get into too much of it, but for those of you that are like me and haven't read the book yet but might want to dip into it, I will give you just a brief little synopsis of what's going to be going on in this story. So there is a young lawyer named Jonathan Harker. He travels to the Carpathian Mountains to perform a real estate transaction, and his client is none other than Count Dracula. So strange events start occurring, and eventually Harker realizes that he is actually a prisoner in Count Dracula's castle, And this will be a new experience for me, A, because I haven't read this yet, and B, because it will be one of the only a couple books that I've read in the epistolary style. So it is written by combining a bunch of different diary entries, telegrams, memos, letters, articles, stuff like that. So I can't wait to finally read just an icon of the horror genre. If anyone out there is reading Dracula in the month of October and you want to hop on board with me, I would love to discuss this book with some people because I feel like it's going to be a really fun reading experience for me. Next up is a book that was actually on my August TBR and I never got around to it, so figured I would save it for the month of October, spooky season, and that is going to be a Cauldron of Uncanny Dreams. Come on, camera. There we go. This is an anthology of short stories by a self-published author named Donald Firesmith, who I had the pleasure of meeting at the Three Rivers Comic Con. This guy is awesome, super nice, and by the way, he is like the real world Ollivander. This guy makes wands. They are the real deal. You can order them. I'll link his website to his books and his wands in the description of this video. They are super, super cool, and Donald is very talented. So like I said, this is an anthology. The very first story is really short, so I'm just going to read it to you to give you guys just a taste of what might be in this. So, here we go. The very first story is called Her Mother's Eyes, and it goes something like this. She has her mother's eyes. She keeps them in the back of her freezer, with her father's hands and her husband's heart. She thinks of them often and smiles. Creepy. Pretty creepy. So I'm excited. This is very short. It's less than 100 pages, all the stories combined. So I'm excited to just kind of splice this in between Imaginary Friend, which is bigger, Dracula, which isn't small, and my final book, which I will talk about in just a second. Lastly, if I have time, that's the asterisk here, is that I would like to read American Psycho by Easton Ellis. I have to hide so it focuses on, yes, there we go. Okay, so I've seen the movie. The movie is pretty messed up. I've been told by many people that have read this one that it is one of the darker books that they have read. So in this one we are following a guy named Patrick Bateman who works on Wall Street by day. He is a wealthy man, already inherited a lot of wealth, makes a lot of money on Wall Street. Is this guy that kind of just thinks he is on top of the world and is above the law. And he harbors some very dark secrets that come out to play at night. And we get a close-up look at some of the absolutely horrific and just demented activities that Bateman partakes in. And so this one is, I think, going to be... I want to be in the right mood for this one, because I heard it's a lot, and I haven't read a book that's like that in a while, so I'm excited to get to this one. I've had it for a while, again, like so many of the books that I have, but I want to save some of these horror books like this for spooky season, so if I manage to get through the other books that I've already talked about, I'm going to try to end the month with this one, and if for some reason I get a ton of reading done and finish this one, I'll just throw in something that I feel like reading, so... That is the plan, though, for the month of October. Let me know what you guys plan on reading in the month of October. Before we go, we of course have to do this video's Comedy with Colin, and today's joke is going to be, who is a penguin's favorite ant? If you think you know the answer, drop it down in the comments below. If you like today's video, go ahead and like it. If you guys are watching the channel and haven't yet hit subscribe, please do consider subscribing, because that is the best way to help me out. We are on our way to 500, and I appreciate all the love and support and the engagement that you guys that already subscribe and watch my videos provide with me. It has been such a blast, truly, to make videos and to interact with people in this community, which is, in my opinion, the best community. So I hope you are all enjoying what you're currently reading. I hope you are all excited about your plans for October. And remember, you're always welcome in Colin's Corner.